We're the Millers is a comedy road movie directed by Rawson Marshall Ferber, who is probably most known for his film Dodgeball a couple of years ago, which actually was a pretty decent comedy. Unfortunately, the same really can't be said for We're the Millers. The film centers around Jason Sudeikis' character, who is a local pot dealer in Denver who finds himself in debt to his criminal boss. To pay off his debt and to make everybody happy, he decides to take on a job smuggling some drugs over from Mexico, but the best way to do it without getting detected, he thinks, is to hatch a plan in which he puts together a fake family consisting of Jennifer Aniston, Will Poulter, and Emma Roberts. A simple enough smuggling plan, you might think, but things kind of turn complicated when they realise that they've just stolen all the drugs from an international drug dealer. As you do. Entertainment, The Millers is actually pretty okay. It has some good chemistry with its cast. It's got some nice light-hearted moments, and even though it tries to kind of reach emotional heights and sort of pull at the heartstrings, it doesn't particularly work, but it's kind of interesting and entertaining, and it's perfectly fine to watch the cast members do what they do, and they do have a chemistry together, especially when they're bickering in that sort of odd family mismatched setup. But ultimately, the downfall of We're the Millers is the fact that it is a comedy, it's billed as a comedy, and it's sort of delivered as a comedy. The problem being that it's actually not that funny. There are a few gags and a few jokes which work and land pretty well, and the introduction of Nick Offerman into the film, as it will happen to any film that Nick Offerman is introduced to, kind of raises the bar significantly, simply because that man is just naturally funny. But you are in problematic areas when the outtakes at the end of the film over the credits actually provide a more consistent hit ratio with laughs than the gags throughout the rest of the film. A big reason to why the film isn't actually funny is because it is a little bit smug and it's a little bit too knowing of itself. There is a team of 4 writers, I think, worked on this film, and you'd think that with a round table of 4 people working on a comedy script, you'd have something much tighter. But the truth is, it's not at all. The film does actually run a little bit too long, and it could have easily been cut down significantly, and in the process of doing so, made a little bit more funny, but also the gags could have been sharper and more crisp. But the problem is that it does feel a little bit too smug and a little bit too self-knowing. It is riddled with references, and this is a sort of a pet peeve of mine. It constantly refers to films that have films or TV shows that have been popular in the last couple of years, or things just in general in the real world which have been popular and modern and contemporary hits over the last couple of years, and it's constantly trying to assert itself as in, yeah, this is in the modern world, this is in the world that you live in. And it's clearly so self-forced and ham-fisted that it actually kind of becomes a little bit annoying. There are moments in which they actually break the fourth wall as well. I think it's only once, but it's still... It just kind of feels like it's patting itself on the back a little bit too much, and a big part of that contributes to why it's just not funny, because it's almost like it feels it's the funniest thing to come out in cinemas in a long time, and that's its mantra, that's what it believes, and it's kind of very self-congratulatory in that sense. But yeah, as a comedy, it just doesn't work. As a little bit of light entertainment fluff, it's perfectly harmless and reasonably okay. I'm going to give it a 4, simply because it could have been better. The premise is pretty interesting, just the delivery isn't that fantastic at all.